Right, the Cologne Major is obviously going on, a lot of fun stuff surrounding it, but that also means that the season is about to end, and we've got some rumor mill things to shake up, to make sense of, to look at. So on this video, we'll do that and just that, looking at the most interesting moving pieces right now on the roster board, so to say. We can start off with NIP since they've already made a portion of their move, that portion being 50%. So we know that they're benching cairne. We don't exactly know who is coming in to replace him. We'll get to that in a second. But cairne playing for NIP for just about a half a year, coming in from Inner Circle with a relatively high hype, so to say, a 1.20 rating on his short stint in Inner Circle, but just couldn't break through really onto the Tier 1 stage, and he sort of got found out when being placed on the highest caliber of events. And I think Snappy was probably talking about a lot about cairne when Snappy mentioned some players not playing how they should in officials versus in pracs, and NIP just making too many mistakes overall as a team. You could also look at Wrinkle, but Wrinkle has a very high skill ceiling, and I feel like NIP is very much invested in Wrinkle. So they're benching cairne feels like a safe move, especially if they're going to land this big fish called Krimbo. German CS leaked this a rumor. What's the reliability of German CS leagues? I feel like it's okay when regarding German players. Krimbo, known, of course, from his big days still on the bench of BIG. Sort of an interesting case of why Big has no interest, seemingly, in keeping this relatively high skill player on their team, but that's how it rolls. He stunted in Liquid in I Am Krakow at the start of the year, played decently. I feel like that was maybe the best Liquid we've seen this year. The bar is not very high when we talk about that, but hey, I mean, they beat NIP, took a map off of a G2. That's pretty much the best Liquid we've seen this year and in a while, but yeah, I feel like Krimbo is a decent player. In my paper, he maybe got a little bit overrated at one point, but still should be a true and tested Tier 1 player that NIP is looking to get into their hands. Moving on, KRL sources indicate to us that Astralis are set to bench Hooxi and ruggah, so their in-game leader and their coach. Now, if we talk about Astralis benching and their coach, ruggah, I feel like that's not a big surprise. He's been on the team for a couple of years and just seemingly isn't doing much. I think we can put it as bluntly as that. Isn't doing much for the team. The few ESL voice comms that we got throughout this IEM Cologne tournament kind of shown or like shined a bad light on ruggah, I feel like, because that was a lot of Hooxi taking responsibility in terms of trying to wake up his teammates, trying to get them on the same page, trying to make them play like they have or how they are capable of playing. I don't know what happened there, why the whole team started slacking when the major rolled in. Astralis looked absolutely terrible this major, so it's not a big surprise that Astralis would make some moves, although I wouldn't have been that surprised if they kept this 5-man unit coming up, because to be honest, Hooxi is maybe the best thing that has happened to Astralis in a while. I think they have a solid in-game leader there. Is he a top 10 in-game leader? I think he's right about there. Hooxi manages to get a good amount of input out of this group that doesn't really have that much star power. Like, I always, when I think about Astralis right now, I always tend to think about Stair and what he means to this team. He's been good, but to me, Stair sets a limiting factor for this team when we think about Stair and his role and his what we expect of him in Astralis. We expect him to be their best player. Cool. He's really good. But if Stair is your best player, I think a Valve ranking of 15 where they are right now is pretty earned, so to speak. Fizzy, good throughout the first portion of the year, but has kind of fallen off. And Ryu, I'm not sure he has what it takes to hang in tier 1. I would maybe give him almost the same treatment as cairne got on NIP. I think they're pretty similar level players both, and if I was Astralis, I would maybe look to make another move. But one move that I wouldn't make is removing Hooxi. I would keep Hooxi. I would absolutely keep Hooxi. I think he's maybe their most important player. Maybe after Stair, you could say that he's their most important player. Like unless Astralis is able to land chjeck-in, who is probably a pretty wanted piece on the free agent market, or he's not a free agent, but on the player market still. If they're not able to land chjeck-in, I'm not sure what Astralis is doing. Okay, a couple of another moving things here. Now, this isn't sort of a leak or anything like that, but Jimpphat, for me, is one of the most fascinating players who's available for these elite level teams. In my paper, Jimpphat still one of the best players in his role, and his role, the absolute worst bomb sites, the nightmare bomb sites that not many people like to play. A very young player still, and even though this year wasn't amazing for Jimpphat, still, when you consider that he plays the absolute worst roles that probably any player on any top 20 team has played during this calendar year, 1.04 is pretty okay. It's pretty okay, and I would also expect him to get closer to his 2024 level when Jimpphat was absolutely cracked. He was absolutely amazing, and yeah, I also have some insight that maybe some international viewers might not know, but Jimpphat revealed just a day ago on a Finnish stream that he has already a team set that he's about to join, and we'll find out about that team in July or somewhere after the major. Jimpphat was a little bit hazy about that. Maybe he doesn't exactly know when that team is going to be revealed, but a very exciting nugget of information. Jimpphat is already set in terms of what team he's going to join. That's interesting. And maybe the smallest piece here, the Finnish angles to round out the video. Now, this might be a player that not many people have on their radar in terms of fans, in terms of viewers, but I would expect that a lot of teams have Body on their radar, at least in some sort of a way. A very reliable AWPer, a very calm presence on the server, good teammate. His ex-teammates probably have a lot of good things to say about Body, so especially now that we're at a spot where almost all the AWPers pretty much sucked in the major, especially in the second stage. I think there's a lot of teams that would love to have Body on their team. Is he the next Monesi? Of course not. Is he the next Zaiwu? No. Is he the next Molodey? No, probably not. But can he be a better AWPer than most teams in the, let's say, round the top? Or maybe where would he set the range? Well, it's teams like Heroic, Liquid, teams like that Body could single-handedly improve at least by a little bit. Okay, that's it for me for this check-in on the rumor mill. I probably will come back to make another one of these because I think it's fun. It's just fun to talk about these moves before they happen and kind of to speculate on what we may end up on in terms of the teams that we're going to be looking at in the next season. I'll catch you in the next one.